Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and today we are going to be reviewing the Legends of Vox Machina episodes 4, 5, and 6 from a non-critter. So let's get started. If this is your first time here, be sure to smash that subscribe button and give us a like. We cover all sorts of tabletop RPG content on this channel, whether that's Dungeons and Dragons, The Age System by Green Running Publishing, or Pathfinder 2nd Edition, just to name a few. If any of that sounds like something you might be interested in learning more about, then stick around and hit that subscribe button. The Legend of Vox Machina has been fantastic so far. Coming from someone who has not watched season 1, I can honestly say, again, the first 3 episodes, you can go back and watch what I thought right here. I did really enjoy them. Now, episodes 4, 5, and 6, to me, really stepped it up a notch. Episode 4 started with the players being on house arrest. It was pretty interesting to see how they have made this their kind of like their home base. I thought it was kind of cool. It seems like it's probably going to be a staple through the rest of the show. I could be wrong, but it just seems like that's going to be like their headquarters. And they have their own little areas in the house. These episodes also felt a little bit Game of Thrones inspired for a few different reasons. And as I come across those things in the different episodes, I will tell you exactly what I mean by that. The big bad evil guy had her tome that was taken, and the characters were trying to figure out what it meant, and it was very interesting. And I thought it was even more interesting because I could imagine D&D party rolling really poorly on their Arcana checks and history checks and all sorts of things, and not getting the information they were hoping to get or all the information that mattered. So I thought that was really cool. Again, they do a great job in this series, I think, of getting that across, that this is a Dungeons and Dragons game where, you know, a lot of things were left up to rolls and chance, and you see them fail constantly at these things. The characters start sneaking out because of, you know, they're obviously on house arrest, so they want to get out so they can go after the Briarwoods. And it's interesting because the party pledges to be helpful to Percy, and they'll do whatever it takes to help him out. And so that was something that I thought was very interesting because they all showed solidarity. At the table, when they're on house arrest, they're giving each other like middle fingers at the table. It was hilarious leading up to this scene. But yeah, they then ended up sneaking out. They get caught, get their weapons and everything taken away, and then they got separated. Now, in this time, the villains have summoned a bunch of creatures out of like a graveyard to send after their tome to get it back. And I thought this was kind of cool. It showed you that they dabble with necromancy. It's so far for me, it's hard to peg exactly what they are. It seems like they're vampires or werewolves. However, they also are spellcasters that can, you know, summon like necromancy and things like that. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what they are and what they're capable of, but I think it's very interesting so far. The creatures that were summoned start killing off the guards. I loved this scene. I thought it was great how they showed like the 2 guards on duty, and the one turns and gets, you know, sees his friend killed. And then he, you know, it's true, there's not enough time for him to react. He ends up dying. Thought that was great. Overall, it was a good episode. I loved too how the party got their butts kicked until the druid stepped up and did her thing. There is something that I think can be learned here for all of us who play Dungeons and Dragons. I think not holding back and kicking your players' butts sometimes can set a tone. And I'm not saying you kill your characters and go for a TPK, but leave them for dead, or have the villains have another objective. Maybe it's not to kill them, it's to get the book back. Once they got it, they leave. That's it. Mission accomplished. You know, so again, I thought this scene was really good. It was very similar to the first few episodes with the dragon kicking their butts, leaving them for dead. again, they get their butts kicked, and now they have to come back better. They have to figure out how to overcome it. I think this is just good storytelling. The leader of the guard then proceeds to let them go because he realizes this is a big threat to their kingdom and that Vox Machina can possibly save them. And so he sends them out to basically go kick some butt. Episode 4, really good. I think it really set the tone for the next couple episodes. Episode 5 had a little cameo with Gilmore again. And I think he's a very entertaining character. They were negotiating, like buying, things from him, and implied that they overpaid for stuff, and they would hate to see how his enemies had to pay. I loved that line. On the road, though, they got attacked by these abominations of wolves. I don't know what they are, but they're kind of like wolves, and their mouths open like in 3 different ways. Very interesting. They're basically like mutated wolves. It was a cool scene. Players, again, got their butts kicked for the most part. And they lost their gear over a cliff edge that they had all just bought. They'd spent all that time and effort to get this gear, and then it was gone. So I don't know how it played out in the game that they were playing, but I thought that was very entertaining as well. I could see something like that happening on a natural 1 skill check for controlling the wagon or something. So again, I thought that was really good. Then though, their bard went over the edge and used Bigby's hand to pull himself up. I thought that was really interesting, and I really liked that. So then it shows, and I could have the order of these scenes wrong, but the bad guy gets her book back, and in the process, they have people from the village of Whitestone that they have chosen, and this little girl has a scene that she seems real excited that she's chosen for something, and the big bad evil guy woman is telling her, yes, you are getting rewarded, and yeah, and then they cut away from that. Percy's talking about Whitestone being beautiful with the party because they've never been there, and then when he sees his village or town or whatever, it's not what it once was. It's dark. It's got a huge, massive tree called the Sun Tree that doesn't look like it's in as good a shape anymore. It's just really depressing looking. Buildings are run down a little. And I thought this was really good because it shows you his memories are so good about it. But then when he sees it again, it's just all that much more reason to hate these bad guys because they've taken something he loved and held in such high regard, and they ruined it. So again, I loved this. The party then goes into town. There's an undead giant running around the town, which this reminds me of Game of Thrones. This character reminded me of the undead giant later episodes of Game of Thrones from North of the Wall. And I loved that. Again, they seen some people hanging from a tree. And again, I thought it was heartbreaking, really. Again, more reason to hate these bad guys. I legit hate these bad guys. The evil things they've been doing, I think, really resonate. And you can't sympathize with these bad guys at all. They're just terrible. And so it makes it really easy to hate them and root for the Vox Machina. Then, they are joining the resistance, I think. I don't remember if that was the end of episode 5 or 6, but he finds a woman that he knew that, he thinks could help lead an uprising. The rebellion in episode 6, I thought was pretty interesting, though. You see the giant, it must have happened not too long before Percy and them arrived from Vox Machina. They find the Resistance's base with the giant taking them captive. And Percy finds out that they need to save the leader who's being held captive. And so that's the objective in this episode. They approach a door. Once again, a door is an impossible thing to get behind because it's their arch nemesis. But then a guard opens the door and dumps urine out of a bucket out and hits them in the face. And that was their way to get in. Loved it. I thought that was hilarious. And it goes to show, again, terrible lock-picking rolls and things like that. However, they still failed forward, and I thought that was really cool. To me, that harkens back to how I think you can run these types of things in D&D. Just because they fail a roll does not mean they can't get through the door. It just means they get through the door with a consequence, and the consequence was getting urine dumped in their face and having to get involved in combat. So again, I thought that was pretty good. Then they get into this place and they rescue the guy. Percy loses his cool once he sees a certain bad guy. And I'm really paraphrasing and dumbing this down, but he goes after the one guy and loses his cool again. Again, I love this, but at the same time, with the way Percy had basically said, yeah, we're going to work as a team and we're in this together, he still went rogue. And I hated that he did that, because you just had this moment earlier in these last 3 episodes where they said they were going to work together, and he basically went right back in, even though his friends went outside. So then his friends had to come back in, and just in time for him to shoot the bad guy. Now, the thing I really think is cool is the gun. He's got the names of all the people he wants to take out on it, basically his list. And I had actually watched another review not too long ago where that was one of the things they mentioned too, and they thought it reminded them of Arya Stark and her list. And honestly, I think they're spot on. I feel like there's a lot of Game of Thrones influence so far in this series, and that's not a bad thing. I think you can take a lot of cool things from things like Game of Thrones, whether it's for your D&D games or for a TV show, which obviously this is both. And so I don't know, again, how it played out in season 1 of Vox Machina in their game, but I'm assuming that was where the influence came from for that, and maybe that it also carried over into the show. It's not like a blatant in-your-face, here's Game of Thrones stuff, but I just little subtle things I think are nods to Game of Thrones. I could be wrong, but again, that was my take from it. So these 3 episodes, I will say episode 3, where we first got into the Briarwood arc, I did not have a strong connection to it. I was like, oh, okay, they're kind of jumping into this other thing, and I don't know who these people are. I don't really care yet. I didn't feel a strong reason to hate them. I really liked what they did with the dragon the previous 2 episodes, and so going into the Briarwood arc, I just was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. These 3 episodes made me hate them. I definitely am excited to see where they go with the next 3 episodes this next week. I'm interested to see if they make us hate them more. I have started, so here's the thing too. Today I did start episode 28 of season 1 of Vox Machina because people have been recommending it, and people were correct. I do enjoy it so far, and I'm interested to see how this plays out and see how this goes. Now, obviously, I'm going to see the shows on Amazon before I get through all 100 and whatever episodes of Legend of Vox Machina. But again, I'm excited about it. I am becoming a Critical Role fan because of this show. So yeah, that's great news, right? That's what they want. And this show's, to me, it's really good. It's up there, again, with things like The Dragon Prince, which before now was probably my favorite animated show. I love Arcane. I think that's another amazing show. And to me, this show's right up there. Now, again, there is sexual acts in this. There was in one of these episodes, they were camping and talking about monsters they had fought. Percy really drilled home that the Briarwoods were the worst monsters he ever fought. Bard talked about a hookup scene and how it was a monster, but he still finished. It was very entertaining, and again, it's a little much sometimes, but it hasn't bothered me to the point where I don't like the show. I'm sure over the next few episodes it's going to continue to happen the way it is, and that's okay. I guess that's exactly how it plays out on the game that they played, which to me makes more sense in games because people usually are a little more loose. And by watching just the little bit I have of Critical Role, you can tell in their games that it's just some friends playing, I feel like. You know, they make little side jokes and comments and stuff like that and screw around just like you would in a lot of home games. I love that they don't take themselves too seriously while they're sitting around the table. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's really good, really interesting, and yeah. So that's my opinion. Yes, this episode had spoilers. Sorry if I ruined anything for you. I will definitely be sure to put a spoiler tag at the start of this video. But yeah, to me, this is going great. I can't imagine how much darker it's going to get, how much more we're going to hate the Briarwoods. I feel like this whole season's going to have to do with the Briarwoods, but we have a long way to go, right? We're 6 of 12 episodes in, I think, right? So we're halfway done, and I'm ready. I am so ready for the next episode 7 or 8, to be the end of the Briarwood arc, for them to get revenge and take care of the Briarwoods. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm excited about it. So, again, I love it. Looking forward to more, and what else can be said? I mean, you know, if there's anything you felt I missed, comment below. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm wrong, again, let me know. I have no problem having discussions about this stuff. You guys were really helpful before telling me I should start on episode 28 of season 1. I've done that, and I enjoy it. I'm about halfway through that episode. So yeah, it's good stuff. So I've always known Critical Role was good. I just, you know, had troubles with the first few episodes of season 1, so I never really got into it after that. But I'm glad I'm doing it now. This was Master the Game. I am Juice. Game on.